אחד. Good afternoon. It's Monday, December 26th. I'm Aryeh O'Sullivan, and this is IBA News broadcasting from Jerusalem. Israel is planning additional retaliatory moves against the UN following the Security Council's passing of a resolution condemning settlement activity. Senior government officials said today that Jerusalem plans to cancel cooperation agreements and dispute the validity of a number of UN bodies which it claims are harming the Jewish state's interests and whose sole purpose is to preserve the Palestinian narrative. Among the organizations are UNRWA, the United Nations Relief Works Agency for Palestinian Refugees, as well as the Committee on the Exercise of the Inalienable Rights of the Palestinian People. In addition, Israel intends to cut funding to several UN agencies, claiming that the international body is taking sides, favoring with the Palestinians on all issues relating to the Middle East conflict. On Sunday, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu instructed the Foreign Ministry to suspend all diplomatic trips to countries that supported the resolution and to reduce contact with their embassies.
Over decades, American administrations and Israeli governments have disagreed about settlements. But we agreed that the Security Council was not the place to resolve this issue. We knew that going there would make negotiations harder and drive peace further away. And as I told John Kerry on Thursday, friends don't take friends to the Security Council. I'm encouraged by the statements of our friends in the United States, Republicans and Democrats alike. They understand how reckless and destructive this UN resolution was. They understand that the Western Wall isn't occupied territory. I look forward to working with those friends and with the new administration when it takes office next month.
Meanwhile, government officials have also raised concerns that Washington's refusal to protect Israel at the UN Security Council will not be what they call the last anti-Israel move made by the Obama administration before the U.S. president leaves office. Officials are concerned that the U.S. will try to lay down additional parameters for a two-state solution at the upcoming Paris Peace Summit, set to take place on the 15th of January, by so laying the ground for additional resolutions against Israeli policies at the United Nations. The Prime Minister's office expressed concern that U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry, who originally said he will not attend the Paris conference and over the weekend can change his mind, will deliver his final speech concerning the Middle East, which may be detrimental to Israel's interests. Adding to the concerns was a report in the Palestinian newspaper Al-Quds today, which said Secretary Kerry intends to propose an outline for final negotiations between Israel and the Palestinians. According to the report, Kerry's proposal leaves 70 to 80% of the West Bank settlements under Israeli sovereignty and calls for the establishment of a Palestinian state along the 1967 borders that includes land swaps. The proposal also requires Israel to recognize the Palestinian state and the Palestinians to recognize the Jewish state. The proposal reportedly does not deal with the Palestinian refugees or the status of Jerusalem. With Israel still reeling from the UN Security Council vote on Friday, Jerusalem may have to deal with yet another front, the International Criminal Court in The Hague. Nasser Laham, a prominent Palestinian journalist and confidant of Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, said the Palestinians are currently compiling the names and photographs of hundreds of Israeli soldiers with the intent of taking them to the ICC at The Hague next year. According to Laham, the Palestinians have already had files containing the names and photos of hundreds of Israeli soldiers. In 2017, we're going to The Hague, Laham said, adding he told the Palestinians in a live broadcast that in suits and ties, we will take the Israelis to The Hague. We will handcuff them. Joining us now in the studio to discuss recent developments is international law professor Robbie Sable of the Hebrew University. Professor Sable, thanks for joining us. So, first of all, what do you make of the UN resolution? Is this a big blow for Israel?
It's a blow, but it's not a legally binding document. It doesn't create international law. It doesn't oblige states to act. It's a political statement, but there's no doubt about it. It's detrimental to Israel.
How do you account for this astonishment in Israel? I mean, wasn't the writing on the walls?
We hoped that the United States would prevent this, because the United States had in the past accepted our position that the solution can only come from negotiation. And that if you make a Security Council resolution, this will be the starting point for the Palestinians. It'll make it much more difficult to negotiate. But we were disappointed.
Well, how much of a direct impact really did this regulation bill that Israel is trying to pass now have on this whole issue?
I don't think so. I think the Obama administration all the time saw this as an obstacle to peace, and they took advantage of towards the end and passed it.
Well, let's take a look at Netanyahu's reaction. How would you say that reaction is?
I would guess that the reaction is meant to deter states from supporting a further resolution. In other words, it's not so much punishing them for what they did, but a warning sign, look, don't play with us.
Well, as the former legal advisor to the foreign minister, how would you look at the legal implications of this whole issue?
Again, there are no legal obligations. States are not obliged to act. However, it will give encouragement to those states that want to take action against Israel, and that is the worrying part of it.
You know, people in Israel are saying they're concerned that this may not be Obama's final act now. He could maybe do something before he hands over the keys to Donald Trump, perhaps in the upcoming Paris summit. What do you think is going to happen there?
Again, the problem, if there is a Paris summit and they make a US statement on what the position is, that will be the starting point from which the Palestinians will begin to negotiate. In other words, if they feel that this is already in their pocket, they won't feel a need to negotiate. And the Americans in the past have accepted our position that we must negotiate. They'll have to make difficult decisions, and we'll have to make difficult decisions. But it can't be made by an international organization.
You know, in January, Sweden's foreign minister was supposed to be visiting and was snubbed by Israel. And now Sweden is going to be taking over the councilship of the UN Security Council. How bad of an impact?
It's not good news, but the president of the council has certain discretions as to agenda and so on, but the president doesn't formulate proposals, and his vote is one, in this case her vote, of only one of the 15. So it's not good news for us, but it's not decisive.
So yesterday we had a stream of ambassadors being summoned to Jerusalem for a dressing down by the foreign minister. Is this a public relations stunt? What goes on in these things?
I think, again, the reason behind this is a warning. Please don't stop here. We are unhappy with what you did, but a further resolution can really undermine the chances of negotiation. So I think this is the message that the Israeli foreign minister is trying to give to the ambassadors. Not that you're naughty boys, but please leave the Palestinians and the Israelis to negotiate. Don't try and negotiate for them.
Well, how is this going to impact the BDS movement?
Those who want to have a boycott Israel, give them encouragement. Mm-hmm. No doubt they'll be able to quote a UN Security Council. My experience is, however, states tend to make a big difference between bilateral relations with Israel and voting at the UN. They're quite happy to vote against Israel at the UN. When it comes to bilateral relations, most states want to preserve good bilateral relations with Israel. So I don't see any states following this, but there certainly may be movements who'll get encouragement from it.
So the bottom line is that the Obama administration cannot force a two-state solution on Israel?
No, they can't. They can encourage both parties to negotiate, and that's what they should be doing. And that in the past has proved successful. It was the help of the United States that we managed to reach an agreement with Egypt. They can be helpful. It wasn't done by dictating terms. Mm-hmm. It was done by encouraging both sides. Sit together. We'll help you. We'll provide financial aid if you reach an agreement. And that, I think, is the key.
Professor Robbie Sable of the Hebrew University, thanks so much for joining IBA News.
Thank you.
The Shin Bet Security Agency and the IDF succeeded in foiling 180 shooting attacks in Judea and Samaria so far this year. Some of the terrorists were arrested at the last minute before perpetrating the attacks, and others during the planning stages, a senior IDF officer in the Judea and Samaria division has revealed. Since January, terrorists perpetrated 38 shooting attacks in Judea and Samaria. The officer noted that in recent months, attacks have shifted from the Gush Etzion area to the Binyamin region, and the majority are conducted by terrorists who have no affiliation with any particular organization. Hamas continues to encourage Palestinians to perpetuate attacks, and many are influenced by the Islamic State and by the terror attacks occurring in Europe, the officer said. The Jerusalem District Court sentenced Sharouk Dawat, a 19-year-old Palestinian girl, to 16 years in prison for stabbing an Israeli man in the Old City in October last year. At yesterday's hearing, the court also ordered her to pay a fine of 80,000 shekels. Dawat, who was 18 years old when she perpetrated the attack, took a knife from her kitchen in her home in Tzur Bachar, telling her mother she was going to pray at the Al-Aqsa Mosque before continuing to Bethlehem University, where she studied. At the entrance to the Old City, she spotted Daniel Rosenfeld and Tzvi Greenspan. She stabbed Rosenfeld in the shoulder and head, and as she tried to stab Greenspan, she was shot by Rosenfeld. Rosenfeld suffered light injuries, and Dawat was seriously injured. Both were taken to hospital. An investigation later revealed that prior to the attack, Douat had written a number of posts on her Facebook page of her desire to die as a martyr. Joint list Arab MK Bassel Ghatas was brought to the Rishon LeZion Magistrates Court a short time ago to decide on the extension of his remand. Ghatas, who is suspected of smuggling cell phones to Palestinian security prisoners jailed in Israel, was taken into police custody on Friday. Police are now seeking to extend his remand by 4 days and examining the possibility of placing him under house arrest. Dozens of Balad party activists gathered to show their support outside the court today, demanding that the Arab MK be released immediately. Yesterday, police accompanied by a Knesset security officer and the parliament's legal advisor searched Ghatas's office. They also searched his home in the village of Ramah, where they seized computers and various documents. Meanwhile, the Knesset legal advisor submitted a letter to Knesset Speaker Yuli Edelstein recommending that Ghatas not be able to participate in parliamentary plenum or committee votes while in detention. Have you ever considered a world that will one day be controlled by robots instead of human beings? An Israeli company, Percepto, has developed a fully autonomous drone they say is capable of securing strategic facilities and providing around-the-clock surveillance, effectively canceling out the need for human intervention. The system is comprised of 3 main components: a ground station that charges and shelters the drone and communicates with it, the drone itself, and the company's core module and real-time computer. The technology enables the drone to collect data, analyze it in real time, and react according to the client's needs.
Our application is based on 3 tiers of value. The first one is security, the ability for the drone to autonomously detect humans or car by using computer vision in real time, enabling the drone to identify a human or a car, alert that there is something wrong or there is a suspicious object near a fence, and then track it if needed, if it's ordered to. And on top of that, the biggest value of having a drone on site is continuous inspection. The ability for the drone to inspect different kinds of objects, if it's high voltage towers, grid, solar panels, chimneys in power utilities, that enables the drone to provide constant data on the status of these objects.
Today, if you look at an average facility, we protect it with fences, with smart fences, with detectors, with fixed cameras. The drones enable us to offer something unique in terms of value to our customers, as we offer something which is not just a fixed camera looking at a specific field of view, but actually enables us to replace manned guards and manned patrols and provide a real smart device that is on site 24/7, able to run routine tasks, but also deliver ad hoc missions and response faster than any human being can.
British singer-songwriter George Michael, who shot to fame in the 1980s as a member of Wham, died on Sunday, Christmas Day, at his home in England at the age of just 53 of apparent heart failure at his home. After splitting with Wham and embarking on a successful solo career, Michael in recent years suffered a string of health scares and accidents. According to reports in recent months, he had begun to work on a new album and film called Freedom, due to be released in March. The year 2016 has been clouded with the number of deaths in the music world, who has bid farewell to David Bowie, Prince, and Leonard Cohen. Olympic medalist judoka Ori Sasson lit the torch relay of the 20th Maccabiah Games today in the presence of President Reuven Rivlin. Sasson was accompanied by Taekwondo athlete Asaf Yassur, a courageous teen who lost both arms in an accident and hopes to represent Israel in the 2020 Paralympic Games in Tokyo. Nir Barkat, the mayor of Jerusalem, the host city of the Maccabiah in honor of the 50th Jubilee of the unified city of Jerusalem, was also present at the ceremony, along with Maccabiah officials and prominent athletes from Israel and abroad. Hundreds of people attended a candlelighting ceremony of the National Menorah in Washington, D.C. yesterday, organized by the American Friends of Lubavitch. Gathering at the Ellipse Park just outside the White House, people also enjoyed a musical performance by Grammy Award-winning Israeli violinist Miri Ben-Ari. Those present said their message for Hanukkah is spreading the light in the dark world.
We are celebrating Hanukkah now for almost 24 hours. Today is the first day and soon we'll light the second light. That is actually the message of Chanukah, to increase in light with every passing day. There are many things in the world that are dark and are uncertain, and our response to those things needs to be with illumination, clarity, and decency.
And an unexpected Hanukkah celebration took place in the Muslim monarchy of Bahrain. King Hamad bin Isa al Khalifa hosted a group of Jewish businessmen and Orthodox Jews to participate in a Hanukkah candle lighting ceremony on Saturday night. The video clip shows keffiyeh-wearing sheikhs dancing together with their Jewish visitors to Hasidic music. Needless to say, the clip went viral on Facebook. And here at home, you can celebrate the Festival of Lights in the Old City of Jerusalem. A wide range of activities are on the bill, including a free tour of the Jewish Quarter, which takes place every day, Sunday through Thursday, from 4 to 6 p.m. The tour features a walk through the alleys of the Jewish Quarter, a panoramic view of the Western Wall and the Temple Mount, as well as a candle lighting event. If you're up for more fun, you can take a lantern and embark on a nighttime tour atop the Old City's walls. The tour begins at the Jaffa Gate and ends at the Davidson Center Archaeological Park, where lanterns will light your way among the ancient remains. These tours will also be held Sunday through Thursday from 7 till 9:30. And local money matters shares were mixed on the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange. Here are the numbers. Turning to the weather, and the forecast is calling for more wintry conditions. Snow will continue to fall on Mount Hermon, where the white powder has already accumulated to ½ a meter on the upper level and up to 25 centimeters on the lower level. Hermon ski site has been closed for visitors. As for the rest of the country, we can expect isolated rain showers and strong winds from the north to the Negev. There are flood warnings in effect for the Judean desert and also along the coast. Here are the expected highs and lows at home and abroad for the next 24 hours. That's all for today. Please join us again tomorrow when Laura Cornfield will be at this desk to bring you the latest news from Israel. Until then, I'm Aryeh O'Sullivan, wishing you a good evening and shalom from Jerusalem.